You seem to ask that question a lot, Christopher says nonchalantly as he turns the page without lifting his eyes. Perhaps because you've been extremely inconvenient lately. I snap back, hoping he'll get up and leave, but his eyes stay on the book. Really, Christopher? Sitting here, invading my space, pretending it's all for appearances? Pretending? He finally looks up, one eyebrow raised in slight amusement. No, Charlotte. This is me exactly where I should be. My room, my wife, my right. The word wife hits like a deliberate provocation, and I feel my jaw tighten, a hot flush of irritation, and something else I'm not willing to name, cutting through me. Your room? My room. Same thing. What's mine became yours the moment you put that ring on your finger. Christopher lifts his hand slightly, rolling the gold band with his thumb, without looking at me. This estate will be mine either way. Isn't that why you married me? Get out. Married couples should sleep together, Charlotte, he says calmly, with a subtle tease in his voice, feeling very comfortable. It's what's expected. Expected by whom? I snap again, crossing my arms tightly. The Earl? The staff? There's no need to maintain appearances here, Christopher. You're mistaken if you think we're alone. East Houghton Manor's walls have eyes and ears, Charlotte. He finally lifts his gaze from the book, meeting mine with an irritatingly calm expression. And as you may have noticed, the Earl seems very suspicious of my goodwill about this marriage. I wonder why, I say with a sarcastic smile, and he rolls his eyes. Christopher Houghton rolled his eyes. If you didn't want to share a room with me, Charlotte, you shouldn't have married me. I'm so shocked by the nerve. If I had known, in my first life, that he was this annoying, I wouldn't have chased after his love for so many years. Just deal with it, he says simply, flipping another page. He's not even reading anymore. Just deal with it? I echo, annoyance burning inside me. I won't play any more games with you again, Christopher. His lips twitch, showing the faintest shadow of a smirk, and he says nonchalantly again, you say that as if you've ever stopped. Fine. You can keep the room. I spin on my heels. I'll leave myself. I turn toward the door, but his voice stops me before I can take more than a step. Running away already? The sound of another page turning makes me want to grab the book and shove it right into his. Go ahead. I don't care which room we sleep in. I turn back to him slowly, teeth clenched and eyes narrowed. You're stuck with me, love. You wouldn't dare, try me. He gives me that half smile that suggests he's enjoying it. Have you always been this annoying? I hiss, taking a deep breath to calm the nerves he so easily manages to poke. And you, always so cunning? How dare he? Does he really think I'll let him do whatever he wants after everything that's happened between us? Even if these memories are only mine, they were real, and they were wounds that took a long time to heal. Fine, Christopher, since you insist so much, stay. He raises an eyebrow. I'll make sure you're bored to death. One corner of Christopher's mouth lifts wider, slow, and deliberate. Ah, there she is. His voice drops into that lazy, taunting drawl that makes my skin prickle. My good little wife. I feel an increasing rage inside me, a slow fire spreading across every inch of my skin because of Christopher's cheeky smile. Talk to me like that again, and you'll be sleeping outside with the hounds. The hounds love me. They'd probably fight over who gets to keep me warm, and here you are, refusing me. You think this is funny? My voice drops a few tones, turning slow and sharp. What I think, Charlotte, he says, leaning back into the couch as if settling in for a long evening, is that you're adorable when you're squirming. Adorable. Squirming. The word snaps something inside me, and I flinch, a subtle movement that doesn't escape Christopher's eyes, and only makes his grin widen. For God's sake, I murmur to myself and pass my hand across my face, trying to calm down. I'm not letting him affect me. I'm not letting him. Can we just go back to when you pretended I didn't exist? I force a smile, not bothering to hide my annoyance. Tempting. Christopher's gaze lingers on me a moment longer before that irritating smile comes back. But you're way too fun when you're riled up, love. I exhale sharply, more to keep my composure than anything else, and let the breath come out with a loud, very loud sigh. Fine. Whatever. He chuckles softly, the sound quiet but frustratingly pleased. But when my fingers unfasten the intricate clasps of my dress and the straps slide off my shoulders, his smile immediately fades. Let's see if you enjoy squirming yourself, you cocky bastard. I let the heavy fabric fall to the ground with a soft thud of silk and satin, revealing one even more provocative lingerie. The white lace corset, adorned with detailed floral patterns, gently wraps around my body, and the low-cut panties seem about to reveal more than intended. With a petty, mischievous glint in my eyes, I glance over my shoulder. Christopher quickly averts his gaze, pretending to go back to reading, but the way he holds the book, a little too tight, betrays his conflicted mind. I walk slowly to the vanity, feeling his eyes burning on my thighs, and when I stop in front of the mirror to adjust my hair, I bend over just a bit, swinging my hip and arching my butt. The thread so thin and fragile that it would probably snap in his hands, called panties, tucks between my buttocks, and in the mirror, I see him crumble the book and shift on the couch restlessly. The silence in the room feels heavy, and although Christopher keeps his eyes on the pages, the tension in his posture reveals where his me and he truly is. I smile wickedly, and slide the straps of the lingerie off my shoulders, letting them fall gently to the floor. Christopher's breathing audibly catches in his throat, and I can feel his eyes burning from my naked back to the mirror. But before he can see my breasts, I lean forward, bending even more, and lower the panties to mid-thigh, letting the piece also fall to the floor. MMGH, he lets out a low, frustrated grunt that he tries to disguise with a muffled cough, trying not to openly stare at my naked body from behind. I straighten slowly, gathering my discarded lingerie in one hand as if it's the most natural thing in the world, and, without sparing Christopher a glance, I step toward the bathroom, hips swaying with deliberate ease. When I reach the doorway, I pause just long enough to tilt my head toward him. "Don't wait up, husband," I say, letting the words drip with the same provocation he so often uses against me. Christopher's jaw tightens, and the book in his hands now bends where his fingers dig into the cover. I step into the bathroom, the cool marble under my bare feet making me shiver. The door swings shut behind me with a soft click, locking him out. And the moment I'm alone, I allow myself a small, victorious smile. Let him stew out there. If Christopher thinks I'm going to be the only one squirming in this marriage, he's in for a very long game. Sitting at the table in the huge hall, I try not to get an upset stomach during breakfast, and thanks to the sunlight streaming through the large floor-to-ceiling windows, I'm not freezing between Christopher and Grandpa Marshall. For a moment, I almost wished the usual Houghton breakfast reunion over this intimate meal. The silence, disrupted only by simple actions, makes me think about how this place, though beautiful, seems more like a carefully designed set than a living space. I force a small piece of bread down my throat and take a quiet sip of fennel tea, but memories of the last 2 nights flood my mind and make it taste bitter. Arg. Why am I acting like this? Like the petty teenager I once was? I know Christopher is to blame for pushing my nerves, but I also got carried away. I shouldn't be playing this kind of game with him. This marriage shouldn't be heading in this way. My eyes search for him beside me, even against my will. He hasn't looked at me once. With each sip, he seems to make a conscious effort to keep his gaze fixed on his strong espresso. Christopher's body leans back, and although he looks indifferent, there's a tension in his shoulders, a clear sign that his apathy is, in part, a carefully controlled performance. Grandpa Marshall, sitting at the head of the table next to me, also keeps his straight posture, his eyes fixed on the newspaper. So far, he hasn't spoken a word beyond a morning greeting that, like all other interactions, highlights the difference in treatment. I take another sip of tea, and the clink of my cup on the saucer feels like the last straw to snap. Grandpa carefully folds the newspaper and puts it aside, breaking his morning routine. He gives Christopher an intense, calculating look before asking, "Christopher, what are the updates on the export contracts we were negotiating?" "Negotiations are progressing well." Christopher pauses as if to end his answer there, but swirling the coffee in the cup, he adds, "We're in the final phase of reviewing the terms, and it looks promising, with a 20% increase in revenues with this new deal. Regarding the contract with the Americans, do you have any updates that confirm we will close on our terms?" Grandpa insists, his voice even colder. "It's a tough negotiation," Christopher says in his usual calm, composed tone, looking at his grandfather with a blank expression. "I might need to handle the issue myself." Are you planning on traveling so soon after your marriage?" "If that's necessary." "And about your interactions with the nobility? Why? Specifically, what strategies are you using to approach the lords?" Grandpa continues to ask, his gaze still sharp. "We need more than just formalities, Christopher. I've been meeting with the Earl of Worthington," he says calmly, eyes closed on his coffee. "He has considerable influence in the House of Lords, which could be advantageous for us." "That doesn't seem enough to me." Grandpa furrows his gray eyebrows, stiffening his expression even more. "We are exploring beneficial partnerships and strengthening social ties that should support both our future political initiatives." Christopher takes a sip of coffee, with no change in his confident demeanor despite the pressure on him. "For now, that will do. Grandpa brushes his clean-shaven chin, showing no hint of stubble. But what about the Lords gathering in 4 weeks? Have you prepared what you'll discuss with them? Christopher straightens up, his expression composed as he chooses his words carefully. Yes, I will use that opportunity wisely. You are not there just to socialize, you must build strong alliances that will support our family for generations. These are opportunities you cannot afford to miss if you want to strengthen yourself. Christopher sighs, his gaze flickering away briefly before returning to his grandfather's again. I am aware of the importance. I plan to discuss our new export initiatives and seek support for potential legislative reforms that will benefit our sector, in accordance with the law. Christopher's confident posture carries with it a chill that cools my body, even though it's fully spring. I'll also secure our position on the trade committees that are being established. That's bold. Marshall finally smiles, but not the warm, proud kind of smile. It's just the thin, calculated curve of lips from a man who judges victories by their usefulness, not feelings. That's how progress is made, Christopher replies evenly, unshaken. You taught me so. But remember, boy, it's not just about making an appearance. You need to be assertive and persuasive. Grandpa Marshall's tone is sharp, with each word a command disguised as advice. Use what you've learned. Show that you can lead, not just in business but also in society. Our family depends on it. I've always known that the weight of duties on Christopher's shoulders is immense, and the need for success, both in business and nobility, is a burden he carries with almost crushing seriousness. But now, it feels so heavy. Remember, I will accept nothing less than perfection, Christopher. Yes, my lord. He nods, his expression even stiffer. Then, as if a switch had flipped in Grandpa's mind, he turned to me with affectionate eyes. Charlotte, sweetheart, I know the wedding festivities are over, but could you please stay a little longer? I'm not ready to let you go yet. I give him my best, warmest smile, gripping the water glass tightly. Grandpa, my mouth feels so dry, but I keep up the same tone as when I was still Grandpa's spoiled little girl. I'd love it, but I can't wait to start my life with my husband. Arg, I'm getting indigestion. Christopher finally lifts his eyes, and his eyebrows furrow, revealing an annoyance out of place. I understand, dear. Grandpa gives Christopher a sharp look. It's wonderful that you two are so close now. It gives me hope that those rumors are indeed false and will soon fade away. My eyes follow Grandpa's, settling on Christopher, who finally responds to his grandfather's words. It surprises me because, despite the harsh demands, severe criticism, and distance between them, Christopher's replies never show too much or too little. But now, he seems almost irritated. My little girl, you've grown so much. Grandpa's warm chuckle draws my attention, and I break eye contact with Christopher, which holds no real connection or understanding. Everything between us is shallow. All right. I understand. How out 1 more week? Christopher moistens his lips, clearly not thrilled at the thought of spending another week under this roof. The slight twitch at the corner of his mouth and the slow tap of his thumb on the coffee cup are all the confirmation I need. I can practically taste his displeasure. So if that makes my dear husband uncomfortable, of course, Grandpa, if that's your wish, I say with my best smile. Excellent. Then it's settled. 1 more week, Grandpa beams, declaring in the same tone one might use to decree a law. Christopher says nothing, but I can feel his gaze shift toward me, almost as if deciding whether to challenge me now or wait until we're alone. I keep my eyes on Grandpa, pretending to be blissfully unaware, like a devoted wife who's just agreed to a perfectly reasonable request. That reminds me, I haven't given your wedding gift yet. Grandpa turns back to me with warmth. Tell me, my lovely girl, which property would you like? Say it, and it shall be yours. Here it is, the moment I've been waiting for, the time when Grandpa Marshall allowed me to pick my nest of nightmares. But this time I'm not making the same mistakes. I'm not going back to that place ever again. In the past, I chose the Rose Hollow estate, the finest mansion Grandpa had to offer. It was so big that it took 20 minutes to get from the gates to the main house, and it even has a forest within its lands. That villa isn't just a house. It's a place any monarch would envy, a perfect stage for the life that foolish, ignorant Charlotte planned to have. But the real reason for my choice wasn't the majesty of the mansion, it was because I believed that if Christopher were away from London, from his distractions, he might notice me. I'd love it if you stayed in Surrey, sweetheart, Grandpa says quickly before I can reply, his words echoing through the room. What about Rose Hollow? What do you think? You used to ask me for that estate, right? I can give it to you now, if you want. Immediately, my eyes search for Christopher's, And the stiffness in his face says enough. Surrey sounds like hell to him as well. The mention of the place where I spent 10 years, where I experienced both a miserable life and a not-so-definite death, makes my smile falter. I can't go back to that prison. For the sake of my second chance with my son, I need to change this future. It's a generous offer, Grandpa. I did love Rose Hollow so much, but I want something in London. The surprise is obvious on Christopher's face, and even Grandpa looks confused. But Surrey has everything you could want: space, privacy, nature. Besides, it's close to your home. Yes, you're right. It's tempting, I say softly, hoping not to come across as disrespectful. But my heart is fixed on the city now. That's where I see myself with my husband. Grandpa is about to argue more, but Christopher interrupts, his voice surprisingly steady. If it's the city that my wife wants, he looks directly at me with a surprising intensity. Then we should stay in my apartment in London. Wait, Christopher's apartment in London, close to the company? The one he lived by himself, and had to throw away because of me? Did I hear that right? My eyes widen slightly, and I swallow hard, my throat aching from dryness. I'm dying to drink some water, all the damn glass, but unfortunately, etiquette doesn't allow me. Choosing London isn't only because I'm making decisions that contradict what I decided in my past life. It will be easier to prepare for life after divorce. Besides, I don't want to take the risk of living under the same roof as Evelyn again. If I leave Christopher where he is, already close to his mistress and his whole life, he won't bother me anymore. But I didn't expect Christopher to offer his own sacred apartment to me. It's truly a surprise, and one that would never have happened before. I look at him, trying to understand, but his LDIs show not a single spark of emotion. An apartment, Christopher? Grandpa Marshall frowns, clearly upset with Christopher's suggestion, his voice cutting through my thoughts like a razor. That's completely unacceptable. Christopher doesn't flinch. Instead, he leans forward slightly, getting ready for a discussion he knows is inevitable. Charlotte deserves something more significant, a home worthy of her position. She's the future countess. Grandpa raises his tone. Actually, I don't think my heir should be living in some apartment. My lord, the apartment is in an excellent location, well-equipped and luxurious, as expected for a Houghton, he says smoothly, trying to speak calmly. It's perfectly suitable for a newlywed couple. But Grandpa stamps his foot, literally. His shoe makes a dull sound against the marble floor of the hall, interrupting Christopher. Not while I'm here offering something better. Do you think some crappy apartment is better than Rose Hollow? If she doesn't want it, I can give her another estate. Marshall's eyebrows are so low that his forehead wrinkles, making it look like he's about to explode. But she stays in Surrey. It's more appropriate for a countess. I drink all the water, no longer caring about manners. Christopher, however, doesn't seem bothered. I thought he avoided confrontation because he didn't want to upset Grandpa, but it appears there's much more beneath his facade than I had imagined. My wife wants to be in the heart of London, and I'll respect and fulfill her wishes. Christopher, Grandpa, I truly appreciate your concern and generosity. I gently interrupt, my voice steady but calm, before the discussion can escalate. But I want to live with Christopher in his apartment. The tension seems to ease from Christopher's face after my words, his eyes softening with a mix of relief and gratitude. He quickly glances at me that I sense more than see. Grandpa still seems hesitant, but my IRM decision makes it clear that I'm not open to further negotiations. Finally, with a heavy sigh, he nods slowly, still not fully convinced but willing to accept my choice. If that's your decision, sweetheart, then let it be the apartment. The rest of breakfast drags on slowly, heavy with overwhelming tension. I lose my appetite, but force down some tea to soothe my stomach. When I finish pretending to enjoy it, I rise with an elegance that has become natural for someone who has spent decades practicing etiquette, and excuse myself, with Christopher following me out for the sake of our act. Why the sudden interest in London? Christopher asks, walking with smooth, confident steps, matching my pace. I wouldn't call it sudden. My voice sounds almost emotionless. I didn't know you wanted to live in London, he insists, suspicion almost dripping from his voice. It was a surprise. I stop in my tracks, release Christopher's arm, and look into his eyes. I thought it was obvious that there are many things we don't know about each other. It's an ironic situation, considering we just got married, he retorts, the corner of his lips threatening to turn up into that teasing smile. Talking about surprises, imagine mine at seeing you offering your own apartment. I turn away, walking freely now, but very aware that he's following closely behind. I'm impressed by your act. I almost thought you actually cared. Act? Christopher quickens his step and stops in front of me, causing me to stop abruptly as well. My offer was genuine, Charlotte. I cross my arms and raise an eyebrow in a challenging gesture. Why would you do something like that? We both know this marriage is just a front. I bite my lip, impatient. I don't need you to go that far. What? I thought you wanted to live in the city? He mirrors my movement, crossing his arms that tighten his shirt. My eyes are drawn to his strong muscles, but I force myself to keep look. Into his eyes, trying not to show any change in my posture. I do. But I was hoping I could just find a place for me in London. For me only. Yeah, you should know by now that's not happening. Christopher's voice is low, steady, and frustratingly confident, as if he's stating an undeniable fact. And why not? Because, Charlotte, he leans in just enough for his presence to press against the edges of my composure. If my wife is living in London, she's living with me. In my apartment. End of discussion. The audacity makes my chest tighten. You're unbelievable. You don't even like me, just endure it, Charlotte. You brought this on yourself. I huff, tired of a conversation that's going nowhere, and turn back to walk. But of course, Christopher comes along, walking beside me again. It's going to be interesting, he murmurs, living together, just the two of us. The way his gaze lingers on my body, slow and deliberate, like he's imagining exactly what interesting might mean, makes my pulse quicken. Plenty of time to get comfortable. Christopher's mouth curves into that infuriating, knowing half-smile. It will be temporary. I walk faster, not looking at him anymore. Temporary? Seems like I disrupted your plans, love. Don't give yourself too much credit. Yes, that's just a temporary arrangement. In 4 months, I'll conceive Henry. In 6 months, the divorce will come. And I'll be free from Christopher Houghton. We're going to share the same house, but I hope we respect each other's space. And stop stalking me now, I want to be alone. Without giving Christopher a chance to respond, I quicken my pace toward the garden, leaving him behind. But with every step I take away from him, I feel his eyes burning into my back, stirring a strange dread in my stomach. The driver takes us into the heart of London, under a sky heavy with grey clouds on the verge of rain, but the lively energy of the city fills the air. Fortunately, it does. And take long to reach our destination. I look up to see the modern glass building where Christopher lives in Chelsea, one of the richest neighborhoods. Its steel towers blend with the historic architecture, seeming to tell stories of past eras and future hopes, which, somehow, fits me very well. Here we are, Christopher says with pride, his eyes shining in a way I've never seen, when the driver opens the door. Welcome to your new home, at least for now. I can't tell if the hint in his voice is mocking my own words, or if he can't wait for us to go in separate ways. In the lobby, the minimalist style is everywhere, despite the luxury of the marble floors and walls decorated with modern art. The doorman, already familiar with Christopher, greets us with a friendly nod and looks at me with discreet curiosity. Christopher places his hand around my lower back, startling me with this touch that, although simple, seems unsettlingly natural for him by now, as he guides me towards the elevator. When the metallic doors close smoothly, trapping me inside with him, his fingers curl slightly over my dress. He hits the top floor button with his free hand, and as we go up, he peeks at me, trying to figure out what I think. But this space is too small and almost claustrophobic, a sharp, uncomfortable contrast with the grander spaces I'm used to at East Houghton Manor and the Rose Hollow estate. When the doors finally open, Christopher leads me through the exclusive hall and unlocks the door, revealing a spacious living room with light wood floors and soft-colored walls that look surprisingly cozy. The space is bright and open, with sunlight streaming in through large windows that offer a great view of London. The kitchen, decorated in American style, runs along one wall, with white marble countertops and simple cabinets. Everything is neat and tidy. Unlike the fancy mansion we used to love, this place doesn't feel cold or empty, which makes me wonder if Evelyn had decorated with cushions featuring subtle patterns, modern art, and plants. Thinking about her makes my throat tighten, crushed by memories of the pain and problems she brought into my life. Is it different from what you expected? Christopher interrupts my thoughts. Well, I nod, swallow the lump in my throat, and manage to say without much emotion, it's not what one would expect from a Houghton. I prefer things simpler, a genuine home, not just a place to showcase the family's wealth. Christopher smiles, happy to take that as a compliment, and offers, let me show you around. Honestly, he's hardly a good guide, he merely gestures lazily around the place, offering the simplest explanations about the living room, kitchen, balcony, restrooms, but he's still watching my reaction closely. The tidy library, filled with books and a big oak desk under a lamp in the middle, barely receives more than a few words. I spend a lot of time here. Usually, it's out of the limit, but you can use it. You like books, right? There's plenty here. Christopher's question caught me off guard because I never thought he noticed it. I used to read a lot when I was younger, but lost interest after getting caught up in the luxury, frivolous Houghton lifestyle, even though I started reading again later, when death was approaching me. I follow him to a small but well-equipped gym, which even with the windows closed, smells fresh. Simpler, huh? I look around curiously, a teasing smile beginning to play at my lips. Hard to kick old habits. Having a gym at home is just easier. Christopher leaves that door open and heads to the last unvisited one, which he opens with one hand to reveal a large bed, some furniture, and the usual modern art on the walls, besides two doors that lead to a big closet and an elegant, two-white bathroom. The bedroom is cozy, though it's nothing like the ones back at Surrey's estates, but that's fine with me. In fact, smaller, homey places remind me of my early years before life got complicated. Not too fancy or big, huh? Christopher tries to smile, but he can't fully hide his anxiety. Disappointed, princess? Surprised, actually. It's a really cool place. I admit, noticing the hopeful look in Christopher's eyes. The tension that seemed to surround him eases when my words sink in. There's just one problem, Christopher. I pause, looking directly at him. Where is my room? A playful sparkle lights up in Christopher's eyes as he crosses his arms, very, very slowly, sending a shiver down my spine. What do you mean? He tilts his head, teasing, a slight smile forming at the corners of his lips. That's our room. What? My face heats up, and my voice comes out louder than I intended. We can't share the same room, Christopher. He steps toward me, closing the distance between us, and suddenly, I'm very overly conscious of his woody scent and the warmth of his body. We've slept in the same room before, not in the same bed. My voice is firm, trying to keep serious despite his amusement, but my heart beats faster with the rising tension. We are husband and wife, Charlotte. Christopher smiles widely, his voice low and provocative. Isn't it natural for couples to share a bed? He's doing it again. He's trying to punish me. Even in our past life, or this one, Christopher always finds very creative ways to mess with my head. I'm not sharing a bed with you, I say firmly, with sharp eyes and a growing anger at myself for having taken such a misguided action. Why the hell did I agree to stay in his apartment? Well, there's not much I can do, Charlotte. Christopher shrugs. Not only did you push for this marriage, but you also agreed that we'd live here in this apartment. I didn't know there would only be one bed, Christopher. That's not fair, I retort, my face growing even hotter. I'm sure my cheeks are flushed right now. Damn it. Fair? He raises an eyebrow. Much about this situation isn't fair, Charlotte, and I can remind you if you'd like. I purse my lips, looking away. If you're not satisfied, Christopher shrugs, clearly enjoying himself. Then you can take the sofa. It's very comfy, you're going to love it. Seriously? I cross my arms, not caring about the rudeness of my tone. Very gentlemanly of the Houghton heir. Your grandfather would be so pleased to know how you are when he's not looking. Christopher laughs. It's the first time I've heard that sound in years, and it's definitely the first time I've heard such an honest laugh. I'm not the future Earl within these walls. His laughter softens into a pleased, amused smile. I'm Christopher. But yeah, good luck spilling our secrets to your grandpa, he'll trap us together in a Surrey manner. I narrow my eyes, my irritation growing ever more. Seriously, this man seems to get more annoying every day. Fine, I sigh, thick frustration in my voice. I'll sleep on the sofa while I find another place. Christopher pauses, a flicker of surprise flashing through his eyes before he returns to his usual serious face. I already told you this isn't happening. I straighten my back, refusing to back down. Christopher, you can't seriously expect me to. I do. He cuts me off smoothly, the faintest trace of that infuriating smirk disappearing from his mouth. And you will. You're impossible, I mutter, stepping around him toward the living room, my heels clicking sharply against the wood floor. Christopher follows at a relaxed pace, hands in his pockets, as if he has all the time in the world to watch me squirm. I really hope this stupid sofa is as comfortable as it looks.